Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And after this brief introduction, let me now share my screen in order to continue from the point that we have left last week. As you might remember, we were talking about Timeline Travel mobile application, and we had seen how to navigate between the timelines. For instance, we have checked the Ottoman Istanbul timeline, and after clicking on one of the timelines, as you see on the screen now, the structures, the buildings of the city were shown on the timeline and on the map. And you all know or you all remember what we have covered last week. So let's come directly to today's subject. Today we will learn how to create an account and how to create your own timelines. So this will be very important, very helpful, since you will be preparing your own timelines towards the end of the semester. And please do not hesitate to ask anything. Simply turn on your microphone and ask your questions. Let me sign out from my account now. I was already signed in. In this main screen, when you click on this button, can you see this button? It will take you to the registration or sign in page. Let me change the language of my app. So this is now in English. Once again, in the login page or register page, you will see such an interface. If you have your account already, you need to type your email and password. And if you don't, you need to click on register to create your own account. If you haven't done so yet, please do it now, and please create your account by using your name and surname actually as the user, and give an email address and type your password twice. So I will go back to here and click on email to type my email address to log into the system. Sorry. I have mistakenly closed the screen. Let me open it again. Okay. Now I share it once again. You can see my screen, right? And I click on this, and I type my password and login. Here we are. As you can see, the same main screen appears, but with one big difference. When you click on this one, okay, click on this icon, the avatar icon, let me say, it will take you to your own timelines. So the personal timelines that you have created will appear here, okay? And you can see, as you can see, these are the timelines that I previously prepared, like places I visited, events of Sinan's age of Sinan. I will show you some of them. I also created a timeline for my baby, my son Alkım, to see the growth of my son. and I also created books I read or a short history of astronomy for fun for myself. So you can create yours. Actually, you had homework, if you remember. Is there anyone who had fulfilled, who had done his or her homework here? Ödevini yapan var mı acaba? Geçen hafta verdiğim bir ödev vardı. Kimler hatırlıyor?
Yes, teacher. Actually, I did.
Okay, great, Dilara. What have you
No, I'm
created?
Tabarak, not Dilara.
Oh, sorry, Tabarak. Welcome.
I'm sorry to be late because I didn't see the announcement actually.
Okay. Good to see you here. And I have an announcement for you, Tabarak. Tomorrow, between 4 and 5 p.m. on the afternoon,
Yes.
you have to be in the Şebnem Köseoğlu Hall because there is a meeting for foreign students. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so tomorrow at 4, you have to go there. Anyway, so let me tell me more about your timeline, what you have created.
Actually, I create like a movie, and I don't know if you can see it or no.
No, I can't see it. This is your personal timeline, and every personal timeline is only visible by you. But I will show you how to make it public now after describing a few things. And others who have created their timelines, thank you, Tabarak. Any others? I think there were no other timelines created yet, but I kindly ask you to do so, okay? After this lecture, please take a few minutes to create. Just a couple of minutes is enough. Or you can even do it now if you are not following me from your mobile phone. So if you have another mobile with you, please create yours as you follow me. So these are the steps to take to create a new timeline. But beforehand, let me show you one of the timelines that I created. For instance, here I created a casual timeline which has the title "A Short History of Astronomy." So this is simply some of the milestones about the astronomy and some of the important figures like Copernicus, Galilei, and Newton. So this is just for myself. So I can see the important steps on the timeline, and it is helpful to me. You can create yours, and you can also use this mobile application as a visual diary. So you can take your personalized notes for yourself. So it doesn't need to be used only for architecture. Okay. So the first thing that you have to do to create your own timeline is to go to your account. So click on this icon and click on this new timeline button. Okay. After you click on this new timeline button, you will see a list of timeline categories. And if you can't find the timeline category you are looking for, please write to me at timelinetravelproject@gmail.com, and I will create it for you right away. The present categories are as follows, as you see here. There are building timelines, artworks timelines, like paintings or sculptures. Some person timelines, this could be an artist, this could be a friend of yours or anyone. You can create timelines of sultans, emperors, and you can also create timelines of events. So it doesn't need to be a building at all. It could be a person, an event, or as Tabarak has just created, it could be a movie, it could be a book, it could be anything that changes in time, or that it has different discrete moments in time. You can also create period timelines, like the early Ottoman architecture, classical Ottoman architecture, or late Ottoman architecture. You can show all this as periods, not as dots in the on the timeline, but the longer periods. Okay, so it's quite easy to create your personal timelines here. Quite elastic, quite handy. So I once again come and new timeline and choose. This time I will recommend you to create a basic building timeline. So I choose building basic. And you can see this list is giving us that timeline name, timeline description, and timeline items. So these are the must fields to fill. The timeline name, let's say this is a test timeline. You need to type it twice because for test zamandizini, because this is the Turkish name and this is the English name. The program has two languages. It has two languages, and you need to fill for every field. Bir soru mu var? Is there a question? Okay, galiba yanlışlıkla bir ses geldi. So you need to give a basic short description. For instance, this is timeline. Sorry. Is created by that nokta and aims to show. Okay. I will copy and paste the same description here because this is a test. And then I have to click on this icon on the right top to save my timeline, okay? But it gives me timeline items required warning. So I have to add new items. Is that clear? So a timeline is composed of several items. For instance, Ottoman Istanbul timeline is composed of buildings in Ottoman Istanbul, right? So I created the test zamandizine or test timeline, but I have to create the items, elements of the timeline as well. So I will click on add new to create new items basically. And you will see two fields here which are underlined. Of course, these means these are the must fields you have to fill. So the first item should be named test1, okay? And I will give a date, random date, 1560, and I will choose a location. Imagine that this is a building in Istanbul, so I put on the map, if I know the location on the map, I put it as a pin here. Or if you know the exact location, the latitude and longitude, you can also type it here. Okay. You can choose a building type, building architect, short info, blah blah. But since this is just a test, I will directly save it and see it here. as one of the items. So after that, I click on save button again, and now my timeline is saved. So where is my timeline? It took me to the main page, but where is it? It is right here. It is, what was its name? Test timeline. So this is the timeline that I have just created, okay? Let's add new elements to this timeline. So when we are inside our personalized timelines, we have this button here. Can you see it? This is to make changes on the timeline. So I click on this. So I came to this screen again. I will add new, for instance, elements. I will type this 2. I will type the year as 1570. I will choose the location from the map again. Okay. And I also want to see an image. So this image, can you see the screen? It's on the left bottom left. See, if you click on this image,
Evet hocam, görebiliyorum.
If you click on this, it will take you to this. Pick a photo, either take a photo or choose from library. I will choose take a photo now to take a photo of mine. So I will use it as an element or as an image inside this item. Okay. Okay. Back to timeline categories. This is the timeline that I have just created, and most probably I'm 100% sure that you won't have that kind of technical problems on your mobile. Okay, this is most likely due to the desktop version of the app. Anyway, so now you know how to create a new timeline by clicking on this new timeline button and then choosing a category. And you also know how to make changes on your timeline like this. Okay. But how can you send your timeline to the editor, or how can you make your timeline public? For instance, Tabarek have prepared a timeline of movies, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so Tabarek wants to share it with friends or share it with everyone to make it public. So what you need to do is come to your timeline again, like this. Let me take you to test timeline again. Okay, I'm clicking on test timeline. Then I'm clicking on this button. And you will see a paper plane here. Can you see that? Can you see this small paper plane? Okay,
Yes hocam.
Yes.
this is the button that you need actually. If you click on this, if you say that, okay, I have prepared my timeline, I have filled every necessary information into it, and I have also uploaded the images, so it is ready to be shared, then click on this paper plane button, and it will give you a small warning. Are you sure? This timeline will be asked to make public. If approved, all users will be able to see it. When you click OK, then it will send it to the editor, which is me, and I will be able to see your timeline on my screen, and I will be able to make some small changes, some corrections if necessary, or I can directly make it public So since you have sent it to make it public to me, I can make it directly public, or I can decline. I might say, okay, this is not a good timeline, or this is not a proper timeline, and I can decline it. Okay. So this is the button that you have to click on to share your timeline with the editors and to make it public. And of course, this bin button here is deleting your timeline, and this is saving your timeline again. So once more, I would like to go over some of the fields, and please pay attention, and you need to make sure that all of these fields are properly filled, and it has necessary descriptions before you submit your own project. This is the name of the timeline, as we have seen. For instance, you will create timelines about the time of architect Sinan, buildings of architect Sinan, people of the age of Sinan, or we can talk about it, we can discuss this. If you have another idea, you can approach me and ask, Hocam, can I make this timeline? I would most probably say yes, if it is not completely unrelated. For instance, in yesterday's lecture, in the Turkish version of this lecture, one of your friends said that I want to prepare the timeline of architect Sinan's travels. You know, he had, as a part of the Yeniçeri army, he had traveled both in the East and in the West. He had seen some many cities, and in those cities he had seen probably some of the buildings. So she wanted to create this building, and I said, of course you can, you are more than welcome. And she will create that timeline. Okay, so I kindly ask you to prepare your timelines related with any subject that we have covered in the course, or related topics. For instance, you can choose, if anyone is interested, you can choose the buildings of activities after Sinan's age, because one of our subjects, one of our topics was Sinan's successors or followers. Or you can also choose maybe the travels of Evliya Çelebi, why not? You can choose the Queen Mothers or Haseki Sultans, the favorites. So you can prepare people timeline, not building timelines, but people timelines. Or you can also prepare the events of the 16th century, the chronology or timeline of some of the important events. So it doesn't have to be complete about buildings. So I give you this flexibility, okay? What you need to double check by asking me. You can send me an email, and you can tell me what you want to do. Okay. Okay, just a moment. I will, just in case, type my email address again. So if you need any assistance, if you need any help regarding the subject of your timelines, please tell me through an email. Now I will create do you remember the drive folder that I previously shared with you in your where you saw your lecture slides? where you had your lecture slides. Hatırlıyorsunuz değil mi? Bir link vermiştim size LMS üzerinden de, orada da şeyler vardı. Okay, you remember the drive folder. Okay, if you can now open that drive folder parallel to this screen. I am now creating a new document there, which is called ARCH434 project subjects. And in this document, every one of you will have access to that document. So this document will be for listing down your subjects, project subjects, okay? Or if you can't see it, let me share this screen with you. Saniye, şimdi bu şehri dolduralım. Okay, now you can see my screen. Görüyorsunuz değil mi arkadaşlar?
Yes, teacher, I can see.
Okay, I prepared this. Now I will give anyone to edit the subject here. So you will simply come here and type your timeline name like this, okay? And please do not delete others or do not make changes on others' timelines. As you might know, I can see who have made the change on this spreadsheet. So this is the link of that document, and when you click on the link, share, okay, when you click on the link, you will be able to change or type your project subject. Bir dakika. Let me send you a shorter version of the link. Where is it? No, it's not shorter. But anyway, it will take you to the same document. Bir Türkçe söyleyeyim bunu. Hazırlamak istediğiniz projelerin konularını önümüzdeki hafta Cuma'ya kadar yazmanızı, belirlemenizi ve yazmanızı istiyorum ve burada benim istediğim herkesin kendi konusunu kendisinin seçmesi, hoşuna giden bir konu seçmesi. Nelerden seçebileceğinizi anlattım az önce. Ama siz önümüzdeki hafta Cuma'ya kadar, yani bu bayram tatilinden önceye kadar seçmezseniz eğer, ben otomatik olarak bir başka konu vereceğim size. So I kindly ask you to determine your project subjects and type it next to your name in this document until the end of next week. So until next Friday, it is the 29th of May. Okay. So when you type the name, the project subject there, you should also make sure that I have given you the feedback. I mean, I have given you the okay, go. You can go with this subject, right? Is that clear?
Yes, hocam.
Question.
Okay, so now if you have any questions,
I
please.
have a question actually.
Yes, sure.
It have to be about Mimar Sinan or different subject because I don't have that much information about him. May I change the subject? Maybe I can choose Zaha Hadid.
Zaha Hadid, no, unfortunately. It should be related with the architect Sinan or his age. Okay. The point is you don't need to have information. You are with this project, you are learning also how to make a research and how to present your research. So this is an important question actually, Tabarek. Well, for another course of mine, for instance, if you take the contemporary architecture course from me, you are free to make a Zaha Hadid timeline. But for this lecture, for this course, you can only choose subjects related with the topics that we have covered. Okay. For instance, if you don't believe that, if you think that you don't have any idea about architect Sinan's buildings, well, actually you have, because you have taken so far 8 or 9 weeks of lecture. But it doesn't necessary. It isn't necessary. You will firstly make your own research, for instance, about the subject architect Sinan's madrasas, okay, or architect Sinan's hospitals, anything. Or it doesn't need to be a building timeline, as I said. Architect Sinan's patrons could be another subject of a timeline, or architect Sinan's the events of the architect Sinan's age, or even earlier or slightly later. The 15th and 17th century is also welcome, not only 16th century. We are also taking the previous and the next centuries, 15th and 17th. These are also included, right? So you will make your research. You will designate the elements of your timeline. I don't expect you to create a timeline more than 20 buildings. So it doesn't need to be very comprehensive, okay? At 20, at most 25 elements is enough. Less elements is also enough. So you can say 10, between 10 and 25 items. Let me come here again. Şimdi bir kez daha bunu göstereceğim. So remember we were here. This is, imagine that this is the timelines that you have created, and you are about to submit this timeline, test timeline. So I come to edit. The items here, the timeline items, timeline öğeleri, should not be less than 10 and should not be more than, say, 30, okay? So it doesn't need to be very comprehensive. But what it should have, what it should include is a proper name, a proper description. You should write your name here and write your resources here or bibliography. Şöyle alayım hatta bunu. So I will remove it here. You have to give these resources properly, okay? So this is required for all research. Herhangi bir araştırma için sizin kaynaklarınızı da sunmanız beklenir ve bu da bu uygulamada, bu ders de aslında size biraz da bu pratiği kazandıracak diye umut ediyorum. Yani işte internet kaynakları da olabilir ama benim daha çok kastettiğim burada kitaplar, makaleler, başvuru kaynaklarınız. Bunların da bir listesini vermenizi bekliyorum. So I am waiting for you to list the buildings. Sorry, list the resources that you will use. And by the way, I forgot to talk about this image. So this is the cover image of your timeline. Okay, so you could choose a proper cover image. This could be one of the items, but this could be a more general image. Okay, and under the timeline items, you will also see image descriptions, references, such fields. Actually, let's go over from another example here. For instance, this is Age of Sinan timeline. Can you see that? Actually, this timeline is composed of buildings built by Sinan in the Ottoman geography. So this might be very helpful to you, but I took this timeline to, how to say, passive. So it is now publicly visible by everyone. Actually, this is a work done by my previous students. So you, when you create yours, for instance, you need to type in some of the necessary fields like this. And you will also, there is a problem with the images of this timeline items. So imagine that there are images here, okay? So the images doesn't appear here, but there were some images. So you need to give descriptions of the images, like the exterior view or exterior view from south, or plan and elevation. So if you are preparing a building timeline, of course you have to give proper images, and you should also include at least one plan. Is that clear? So don't forget to add a plan into your timelines, right? And other things, let me show you one more thing. We also have the field references, the references under timeline items, not under timeline. The timeline items are the specific reference for that particular entry. For instance, this is showing us the information page for Haseki Hürrem Sultan Complex in Svilengrad. And this reference, actually this is a thesis or something like that. This reference is listed only for this building, but not for all architects and buildings. Okay? I hope that is clear. Umarım anlaşılır olmuştur. Okay. Any questions? If you don't have any questions, then I would say goodbye to you and see you next week. And please do not forget to prepare your own timelines as a homework, okay? Please do it so just after the lecture. And please also decide on your project subjects. Önümüzdeki haftaki derse kadar hem bu deneme amaçlı bir timeline oluşturmayı, kişisel timeline, izlediğim filmler, gezdiğim yerler, okuduğum kitaplar, ne olursaydı, arkadaşlarım adı olabilir, oluşturmayı unutmayın. Ve dönem sonu projesi olarak vereceğiniz timeline için de o konuyu bu chatte yazdığım linkteki dosyaya işlemeyi de unutmayın. Tabii benden de feedback almak şartıyla. Okay. Okay. So see you next week.